So I have just watched the October 8th movie. Let's talk about it.
You believe that a Yid will win in the end. That if you stand with Hashem and you stand for what's right, you will march across the finish line. You will have victory. You will have victory. Victory.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Kosher Commentary. I've been gone for a while. I know, I understand. But listen, I know this episode is about the October 7th movie, and this is a special episode because I usually don't post stuff through the week. I usually have brand new episodes every single Monday, but this one is special, so I'm glad you guys are tuning in. If you see me on video, this is the first time you see me on video, Kosher Commentary is breaking into the video scene, so you can catch me on Spotify on video as well as YouTube, respectfully. But yes, I have some very important news coming up. Stay tuned for that. Me and my wife have some important news to share with everybody, so I want you guys to stay tuned for all that news coming this Monday. If you're listening to this week, it's coming Monday. You'll see the new episode is the number four, the fourth installment of our conversion story. We have great news, exciting news. If you've been following me on Instagram at Baruch Ruel Nachman or Baruch Ruel on Instagram, even by the new name, you probably understand what has happened and what's going on. But I want to get right into this October 8th video, this documentary about the reaction to the vile, disgusting terrorist attack that happened in Israel by Hamas on October 7th. October 8th is a documentary about how the world responded and sided with, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly to some. I have a rabbi at our shul, and he's always preaching that, listen, no matter what we do as Jewish people, no matter what country we go to, no matter what contributions we add to the country, no matter how we lift that country up, eventually history tells us they will turn on us. And he's not all the way wrong. That's not an invitation to be scared about where you live, but that is an invitation to kind of wake up, understand your surroundings. And a lot of people, unfortunately, found out that they don't have as many friends as they thought they did October 6th, after October 7th. Anyhow, I watched the video, me and my wife. This is raw emotions. Me and my wife just got back from the movie theater watching the October 8th movie. If you haven't seen it, it's probably too late to see it in your city, maybe. I don't know. Check your listings. But I did contact the writers. I went to the website, contacted them. I wanted to purchase it myself, and they said around April 1st or so, it should be able to be purchased on digital through some streaming services. So check that out again. You can go to their website, which we'll see in a second. I think, what is the website called? It is October8film.com. October 8, the number 8 film.com. All right, let's get into it. Before I even talk about it and what I felt about the movie, the documentary, let me show you guys a preview of it. If you've never heard of it, if you've never seen it, let me first show you a preview. If you're watching this, obviously on YouTube or on Spotify, or if you're even listening to this, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, even the sound itself is still very shocking. All right, let's share the screen here. Let's play this trailer.
The terrorist group Hamas has attacked Israel in the air, on the ground, and in the sea.
The second I understood the depravity of what happened and the barbarism,
they've kidnapped Israelis, including children.
I thought that the entire globe would be in mourning. And not only was it silent, there was jubilation.
It was exhilarating. It was energizing.
I wasn't seeing an ideological disagreement. I was seeing hatred.
Free Palestine!
The hate started flooding in almost immediately.
Students called it resistance. They called it justified. They began calling Zionist students racist. We are not!
Standing up for being Jewish got me more hate than all the things that I have said on social media and on my podcast combined. And I've said a lot.
For every one video that is pro-Israeli, there's 54 pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine videos served.
Foreign state and non-state actors are seeding the online space with false narratives in order to impact the stability of Western democracy.
30 years ago, leaders of Hamas in America met and discussed strategy to hijack students' minds.
Adapting the concept of intifada. Violence will follow.
This is not about Jews. This is about democracy. This is about human decency.
What does it mean that the future leaders of the most important democracy in the world are chanting for intifada? What is the country going to look like a decade from now?
What is at stake is the soul of America.
Wow. Wow. Very powerful stuff there, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, the movie, as you saw in the trailer, it chronicles the response of the world, not just United States, but that stuff in the world about what happened after October 7th. And if you don't know, if you've been under a rock, you're listening to this, you're not Jewish, you're not someone who follows politics or geopolitical stuff or just the news in general, October 7th, 2023, the night in America where we were celebrating Simchat Torah, that is our holiday, where we literally have joy about the Torah, Simcha, joy, happiness, and of course Torah, and we dance and we sing and we take the Torahs out of the ark and we dance. It's just an amazing. It's one of my favorite holidays, an amazing jubilant time, just for us to find out when we got home. We were able, because it fell on a Shabbos in 2023, for us to go home. If you don't know what Shabbos is, Shabbat, we, for 25 hours and some even longer, we do no work. We're disconnected from the world. We pray, we daven, we break bread together, we connect as Jewish people. But we don't use electricity, so we don't have phones or anything on us. So Israel, of course, is a day or so ahead of us, a few hours ahead of us moving forward. So when people got home, they got a lot of texts and videos from family members who live in Israel about what's going on. And as the days got longer and longer, what unfolded was was horror, shock. October 6th, there's a lot of my Jewish brothers and sisters who believed, whether they were in Hollywood, whether they're in the finance world, whether they were in business or real estate, whatever it may be, whether they were in higher education, whether they were in the medical field, whatever field they were in, my field specifically, supply chain, we thought we had friends. We thought we had allies. Then October 7th happened, and we realized who our friends, who our allies really were. It turns out it's not many at all. The most disgusting thing about the documentary is that October 8th, by the morning of October 8th, there were people already organized in the streets of New York, Times Square, with propaganda material, with chants, with everything that someone would have as if they were planning this for years. And of course they were, and the documentary shows that. This is not, they didn't just wake up on October 6th and say, oh, well, I think we're going to attack Israel. They were slow, they were methodical, they were thoughtful about how they would attack the only Jewish country in the entire world. Let me say that again. The only Jewish country in the entire world. And the world turned on Israel. we had no friends. We had no allies. I believe her name is Deborah Messing, the actor there, who's in the documentary. And she even realized, and can't think of his first name, but his last name is Rappaport. He's in a lot of stuff. He's in a show on Netflix I love called Atypical. He realized that, man, our Hollywood friends, they stand up for penguins that get caught in oil spills. They stand up for trees that get leveled by whatever state because of whatever reason. They stand up for climate change. They stand up for the LGBTQ plus silent P community. They stand up for Black Lives Matter. They stand up the Me Too movement for women who have so-called, they stand up for women who have been marginalized and abused. They're very, very silent about October 7th. Deborah Messing and Rappaport realized that they don't have many friends like they thought they had in Hollywood. But it wasn't just Hollywood. It was the students that were harassed on the college campuses. They've been going to school with these people for a semester, 2 semesters, a year, 2 years, 3 years, some even 4 years. One of the young ladies was a student body president. So she had been going to school there for 4 years with these people. Thought she had friends and allies that's sitting right next to her. But 11 of her peers tried to vote her out of the presidency because she's a Zionist, because she believes that Israel has the right to exist. Isn't that crazy? What would the world scene be if someone questioned Zambia's right to exist? What would the world scene be if someone questioned Egypt's right to exist? How would America feel if China began to question America's right to exist and take action against that? As the documentary unfolds, it talks about how there's only one country in the world where the right to exist keeps coming up, and that's Israel. America hates China. They're mortal enemies. America hates Russia. They're mortal enemies, and the hatred is mutual. But never does anyone in America question how Russia became Russia and does it have a right to exist? How China became China and does it have a right to exist? Russia and China don't discuss how America became America and does it have the right to exist? But it seems like when we have these discussions about Israel, it always ends up, do they have the right to exist? And this is perpetrated by Iran, by their proxies, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, who committed the atrocities on October 7th. And you may ask, how could this happen in a country that prides itself, America, that prides itself on higher education? Well, there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. It happened in the ivory towers. It was a slow burn. Harvard, Columbia, NYU, UCLA, Cornell, the list goes on and on and on and on. When you start to invite anti-Zionist professors onto your campus, you are asking for anti-Semitism to fester and to boil over at some point. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Let me say it again. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. So now you have these professors who are on college campuses, who a lot of Jewish parents pay a lot of money in tuition to send their kids to these colleges. They're teaching anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic rhetoric. And it's not on accident. They've come here to do, they went there to do just that. And it doesn't stop at the campuses. I will say this. The most shocking thing about the campuses is that you have these so-called very smart and intelligent children, these students, these 18, 19, 20-something-year-olds who are getting world-class education, but yet they're so easily swayed into hatred and bigotry. The film showed that someone would chant something, from the river to the sea, and then 200-300 crowd of people would chant again from the river to the sea. Someone would say, take 2 steps forward, and everyone in the crowd would take 2 steps forward. It's quite shocking, cultish-like, how easily impressionable these minds were. How did we get here? It's not, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's not by accident. It is not by accident. It's a slow burn. We have to know our enemy. Our enemy has become more savvy. They've become smarter. They've become more patient. And if we don't understand what we're fighting up against, we'll be behind the 8 ball every single time. To the world, that is. Because we know that we serve a God, Hashem, that he lives outside of space and time. He sees what's going to happen. And he's a million plans, a million steps ahead of our enemy. And he knows what he knows what they're going to do. He knows what he's going to do. And he knows that he's made a promise to his people. He knows he's made a promise to us. He knows he has promised us a land. He knows he has promised us a people, a generation that will never cease from walking on planet Earth. So the enemies may think they've won, but all they've done is built up wrath for themselves from the Blessed One. But saying all that, back to, I don't want to get on a rant, back to the documentary. Great documentary again. If you have not seen it, if it's too late for you to see it, if you're listening to this and it's past April 1st or before April 1st, 2025, please go and download it digitally, however you got to do it. Again, go to the website, October 8 movie. Let me see. Am I saying that right? October 8 film. October, the number 8, film.com. And I'm sure as stuff updates, their website will update too. But what I found the most interesting here, was, again, how impressionable kids are at MIT, Harvard, Columbia, NYU. You said these are supposed to be the places where kids have debates about everything because they're skeptical about everything. They use critical thinking about everything. These are the institutions that teach you that real growth happens in dissent, not in following some foolishness. But when the ish hit the fan, we saw that these institutions talked a good game, but they're not educating by their own standards in which they were created upon. So now you have a mass body of students attacking our Jewish children only because they are Jewish. And a sentiment that someone said, I nudged my wife, and as obviously you can look at me and tell that I am a person of color, but I looked at her and said, I wonder, because I think it was Harvard professor, Penn State professor, the Harvard president, the Penn State president, and I want to say MIT. They could not, they had to go testify in front of Congress. They could not say the reason why they weren't protecting the Jewish students. They kept saying that these other students had, freedom of speech, and it was contextual. The incident was, and the senator kept asking, well, what is the context? The context is there's Jewish students and there's anti-Semites on your campus. Are you going to protect the Jewish students? And they could not answer the question. They could not do it. They couldn't do it. So I nudged my wife, and the Harvard president at the time has since resigned, Baruch Hashem. I said, she's a black woman. I said, I wonder how quickly she would have had students off campus if they came in white robes, burning crosses, saying all the blacks must die? Will they start barring black students from going to class, putting up signs that says blackness equals death? Wonder how quick she would have had those people off campus. I'm assuming within hours, within minutes, she'd have the Cambridge police on campus. Within hours, everything would have been cleared. Within a day, you wouldn't even knew anything of that would have happened. And I tell people this all the time, and they think I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. I've noticed more, since I've become Jewish, I've noticed more anti-Semitism in my 3 or 4 years in the Jewish community than I've ever witnessed as a 39-year-old black man in America. And you may take that, you may think I'm doing tongue in cheek or whatever. It's true. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. It's real. I've witnessed more anti-Semitism in the short time I've been in the Jewish community than I've ever witnessed racism or anti-blackness in my 39 years of life. And it's quite appalling. And this documentary opens the eyes of people to how cruel the world is against the Jews. I don't even think we're 1% of the world population, but yet Israel is attacked, unprovokedly attacked more than any other country in the world. I think Jewish people, we make up 2% of the population here in America, but 54% of all hate crimes are against Jewish people. We're disproportionately attacked and targeted for no reason whatsoever outside of the fact that we're Jewish. That's it. And this documentary does an excellent job of showing that, describing that, taking video that Hamas filmed themselves, ladies and gentlemen. They filmed them. Hamas filmed Hamas, not the IDF. Hamas filmed Hamas killing, pillaging, burning, dragging a young lady down the street who clearly was assaulted in unimaginable ways. And people say, well, there's innocent Gazans. I'm quite sure there are. And I've seen the Gazans who've been on the street and they've been calling for Hamas to leave Gaza. And I sympathize with those citizens. But there are many more who were cheering in the streets when they were parading hostages down the streets of Gaza. And it's in the documentary. Obviously, this is stuff that you can find online. Speaking of online, we must be very careful of what we allow our children to digest. Being an observant Jew, Orthodox Jew, my preference is that my children learn Torah, and I have all girls. But I would rather them be learning Torah than spending hours and hours on their phone doing God knows what. Learning some Tehillim, learning some Halacha, digesting Hashem, everything that he's given us, just taking that all in. Obviously, we're nowhere near the Rishonim or anything of that nature, but we can't just sit and study for 72 straight hours and don't eat. I get it. They're kids, they need to have a life. But one thing this documentary showed, I'm almost done. One thing this documentary showed was that a lot of the ideas that these college students got was from TikTok. Not from the Britannica Encyclopedia, not from Wikipedia, not from scholarly work, not from digging and finding the truth. They're getting their information from hashtags, headlines, and TikTok. How stupid is that? You're telling me that some of the best educated kids in America are being easily swayed by TikTok, who's owned by the Chinese, who disseminates misinformation from Russia. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. All these things have been proven. Talks about it on the documentary as well. How impressionable these kids are. How impressionable grown folks are from TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, X. They're not absolved in this issue either. Whatever social media platform was out there, if your algorithm felt that you were anti-Zionist and you're anti-Semite, it was going to feed you all the vile, filthy stuff that you wanted. And it did. I want to say this, and I'll end on this. I want to shout out both the sides of an aisle in our political field who stood up for Israel. If you're a Republican, I shout you out. If you are a Democrat, I shout you out. A lot of times what we do is we try to divide ourselves. Are you left? Are you right? Are you Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you progressive? Are you conservative? I hope after October 7th that we can throw all those labels out the window. And there's really, as a Jew, we only have two labels that we should care about. One, are you Jewish? The number one label we should care about. Two, do you stand with us? That's the number two label we should care about. I don't care if you're a Democrat from the deepest parts of the most liberal state. I don't care if you're a Republican from the deepest part of the most conservative state. I don't care what you are politically. I don't care where you stand socially. I don't care what your orientation is, what pronouns you use. All this dumb stuff that we harp on and we hang on should have, and I hope it has, flown far out of the window after October 7th. Are you Jewish? One. Actually, two, are you a Zionist? Three, do you stand with us? Are you my brother, my sister, my cousin? Do you believe that Israel has a right to exist? And if you're not my brother, my sister, my cousin, but you believe that Israel has the right to exist, will you stand with us? That's the only thing that should matter. Because here's what I found, ladies and gentlemen. I found that there are vile, nasty people on both sides of the aisle. So whether you are happy that Donald Trump is now in office, great. I hope you voted for him because you like his policies and not because you think that his administration is the best thing for Israel. Donald Trump stands for Israel. Yes, absolutely, 100%. But we can't forget about a lot of people on the right who believe in the replacement theory. They're replacement theorists. What is a replacement theory? Replacement theorists believe that there's some spooky Jewish person pulling the strings of blacks and gay folks and all these other people, and they're taking over America and they're pushing out the white folks. So the Jews are using blacks and marginalized people as Trojan horses so the Jews can take over America. These are the same people that marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, chanting, "The Jews will not replace us. The Jews will not replace us." Those people on the right, ladies and gentlemen, those people also voted for Trump. White nationalists who hate Jews also voted for Trump. The Aryan Nation who hate Jews also voted for Trump. The Ku Klux Klan who hates Jews also voted for Trump. Just keep that in mind. For my people who are on the left, and you believe that Joe Biden was so strong for Israel, and he was. Shout out to Joe Biden. Shout out to Donald Trump. Again, shout out to every Democrat and Republican that stood next to Israel. And really shout out to Representative Ritchie from New York, because he stood up in a way that was, you talk about a progressive. He's a progressive. He's Latino. He's part of the LGBT community. He's also a Zionist. He also stands with Israel. he stands with us. Anyhow, you believe Joe Biden was so strong, and you voted for Kamala because she's married to a Jew, and you believe great. I hope you voted for her because you believed in her political ideology. Because there's people on the left, ladies and gentlemen. There are people who they had to sequester, to silence in the chambers because they were saying so much vile, crazy, hateful stuff about Israel. These are Democratic representatives and Congress people. On the far left, this is what was on our college campuses. These are the people, the queers for Palestine. Black Lives Matter for Palestine. All this stuff for Palestine. These are the people on the left. So whether you're on the left or for the right, remember, both of them are implicit in anti-Semitism. It may not be Joe Biden. It may not be Kamala Harris. It may not be Donald Trump, but it's the people in their parties. So there's no political party for us. If you want to vote and exercise your right to vote, that is beautiful. You do that. I'm going to keep doing it too. With the realization that I'm voting for a party, not because I believe that this party is the friend of the Jewish people, but because I just believe ideologically, if you're conservative, I hope you just believe in the ideas of conservatism. If you're a progressive, I hope you believe in the ideas of progressivism. Not that you believe that, oh my God, these guys are our best friends and they're going to protect us. As I started off to say, one of the rabbis in our shul says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a left-wing progressive in the office, right-wing conservative in the office, they still can be anti-Semitic. That's what this documentary showed at the far fringes of each party. And if you're true with yourself and you don't have any kind of, unchecked biases, you understand that both Kamala and Trump talk to the fringes of their parties. Both sides of those parties, the communists and the Aryan Nation type Nazi folks. The two things they have in common: they hate Jews, they hate black folks. That's the two very things they can come together under. And on October 8th, they did it. Hugely, as our current president would say. And it shouldn't be shocking to us that this has happened, because it's happened over and over and over and over again in history. So these are the three things that we have to do to protect ourselves wherever you're at in the world. Number one, educate yourself. History, current events, what's happening now, so that you understand the temperature of the country, the company, the school, the neighborhood that you're in. We should not have woken up on October 7th to find that we don't have friends. We should have, the red flags that we saw on October 6th, we should have taken those seriously. The off conversations, the slide jokes, I was just playing, the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Take those seriously. Secondly, build Yiddishkeit. Your children. Now, I'll say this. The kids who were at the Columbias and the Cornells and the NYUs and all that stuff, God bless you. During that time, I would have stayed there too. I would not have let someone push me off my block. But if you are done, if you're still there, stay for the fight, if that's what you choose to do. If you choose not to stay for the fight, that's admirable as well. But I would say for the parents of those kids, you're putting yourself through college, any college that allowed anti-Semitism to run rampant on their campus. I don't care how long your family's been there. I don't care if your granddaddy has his name on the side of a wall. Quit giving money to those institutions. We have our own. And they're very good. And we need to go there. I was very upset, and I've heard people say this in the Jewish circles as well, but I was very upset about some of the black leaders when the federal government, under Joe Biden, by the way, allowed affirmative action in the higher education to be dismantled. I guess I naively thought that, oh, well, this is an opportunity for the black community to advertise some of the great HBCUs that they have. What's HBCU? If you never heard of that, it's historically black college or university. So schools like Howard, schools like Spelman, schools like Tuskegee, schools like Alcorn, all these great Hampton University, what else? Morehouse University, all these great prestigious universities, Tennessee State University, Fisk University, all these great historically black colleges and universities that offer exceptional education have always had a problem with enrollment and endowment. But now there's an opportunity to where some of these Harvards and Cornells have shown that, hey, we don't want black folks, and we're no longer going to, quote unquote, help you get in. I thought that was a great opportunity for black people to say, oh, cool, you don't want us, we're not going to be here then. We'll go to our own schools. They didn't. What they do instead? They complained about how much Harvard and Cornell didn't want them. I hope the same thing doesn't happen with us in the Jewish community. I hope that we understand that we should no longer give endowments, give money, be on the booster clubs to institutions that allow anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism to exist on their campus. I hope we're smart enough to start sending our children to our own institutions. Yeshiva University is a fine institution. Stern is a fine institution. Hebrew Theological is a fine institution. Sarah Hartman is a fine institution. Torah is a fine institution. We have our own institutions that our kids can go to, get a world-class education, whether they want to be teachers in an elementary school or whether they want to be world-class surgeons, lawyers, therapists, psychiatrists, whatever it is, those schools have it. And they will be in an environment where they learn Yiddishkeit, they learn Torah, and they can have a great path to whatever career that they want to be a part of. If anything, this documentary showed that when the world turns against Israel, Israel stands up for itself. So, again, I hope you go see the movie, support the movie. Remember that we are never alone because we have cousins and brothers and sisters that are with us in Israel and abroad. We have allies, whether they're in Congress or wherever it may be. We need to ask ourselves, are you Jewish? Are you a Zionist? Will you stand with us? I'm Israel Chai. This has been another episode of Kosher Commentary. I am Barak Real Nachman. So happy for you guys to join me here. Follow me on all the social media at Barak Real. I guess I'll see you guys later. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, light up the darkness, change the world. Peace.